Member for Dunkley.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'm pleased to be able to speak on this bill today because in my community, like I am sure in communities across this country, our young people are light years ahead of the government in their concern and their local action to protect the environment and the planet. Every single high school in my electorate of Dunkley, every single high school has amazing young people who are in clubs like the Environmental Defenders Club, where they are working to make their schools single-use plastic-free and to encourage recycling within their school environment. Frankston High, Elizabeth Murdoch College, the young people there have come to me time and time again to say, this is what we're doing where we live and where we go to school. Can we have a federal government that does this on a national scale? And whilst this bill is better than nothing, and it's one that Labor will support, it has to be said that this federal government is still lagging behind the people that it's supposed to represent, and particularly the people whose future they are supposed to be protecting when it comes to matters of environment and climate change. When this bill was debated last week, I was in the chamber and I heard a member of the government say that climate change should be a matter of science and not a matter of politics. And once I picked my jaw up off the floor from hearing that said by someone on the opposite side, I of course agreed. And then I wondered why he was going to the effort of saying this. And then I realised that the pushing 18 months that I've been privileged enough to be in this parliament, I have not seen a piece of legislation with so many speakers listed on it from the government benches as this one. Often, and this is something the public don't really get to see, often the government puts in legislation that outside of this place it trumpets as essential and important reform, and when we come into this chamber, apart from the minister introducing the bill, the only people speaking on it are members of the opposition or the crossbench. I'm not sure what they're doing over on that side of the chamber, but they don't seem to be coming in to speak on their own legislation. But lo and behold, we have a long list of government members speaking on this bill. And the conclusion I've reached is that they're speaking on this bill so that they can go home to their electorates, to their high schools, to their young people and say, of course we're doing something about the environment. Of course we're doing something about climate change. Look what I said in the chamber. Look where I gave this speech where I said climate change was a matter of science. If only that rhetoric was matched by real action. And I know that the young people in my electorate aren't fooled by the announcements that aren't followed by delivery, because they are switched on and they care and they are worried about the future. Last week, when I thought I was speaking on this bill on Wednesday or Thursday, I put a post on my Facebook page for my electorate saying, I'm waiting to get on to speak about recycling in the environment. Anyone have any suggestions they would like me to raise? And because I have an amazing electorate, of course, there were a lot of things that were raised on my Facebook page. Incentives or tax offsets for small business that can demonstrate a percentage of waste reduction or a percentage increase in sustainable products and practices. That's a great idea. Melissa says we need all levels of government investing in supporting businesses to improve waste, to have cost-effective, sustainable packaging and composting options, because composting options are cost-prohibitive at the moment, but there's more that can happen in this space. It's a role for government, a role that this government hasn't taken up. Government-owned or subsidised recycling plants are a must. Comment on my Facebook page from someone I know who is not usually a fan of government-run industries, but can see the need for government support in this area, because recycling is cost-prohibitive for many in private enterprise. So bring an industry back for government to run was a suggestion that was made. And this comment I'm going to read in full, and it really reflects the sentiment that I hear over and over again from people across the electorate of Dunkley. We need to move away from single-use plastic. When single-use plastics break down into microplastics, they infiltrate all components of the natural world and, of course, humans. Research is starting to show that this microplastic is being ingested by humans at an alarming rate. A credit card's worth of plastic a week humans are ingesting. Why? Because it's in the atmosphere and it's being absorbed by plants, ingested by the animals that we then eat, and has been found in water that all research has so far touched. Studies are also indicating that it is a contributor to global warming through the process of its breakdown in the environment. And this constituent of mine suggests that I ask Scotty to go do some homework and get back to me. We are...
Order. Order. Speaker, I asked the member to refer to the correct title. Did the member not refer to the member's correct title?
I was reading a quote from
if it was a quote.
A comment on my Facebook page asking Scotty to go do some homework and get back to me. That was what I said. It was a quote.
It would help the House if you quoted the correct title as well.
The Prime Minister.
Thank you.
So I read those out, and they are just a snapshot of comments from my electorate to show the commitment in my electorate to doing more in this area, to doing more, and the request that I get over and over again for the government to do more. Now, we're very proud in my electorate in Carrum Downs that we have company Repeat Plastics Australia Proprietary Limited, or REPLAS as we refer to it in my electorate. Now, this business has a manufacturing base in Ballarat and their head office and some of the work in Carrum Downs. And what REPLAS does basically is takes plastic waste and turns it into seats, tables, all sorts of equipment to be used in the community. So, for example, the Belvedere Bowls Club put in an application to the Dunkley Stronger Communities Fund, which I was pleased to support, to get new seats at the Bowls Club. And those bench seats were made by REPLAS, by recycled material. I was speaking to the company today and asked, what do they need in terms of being able to continue to contribute to what must be said to be this fledgling circular economy in Australia. And what they need is their product and products like theirs from other manufacturers to be promoted, because they can't recycle more waste unless people are buying their products. As they say to me, the local council is the first port of call for procurement, because they are the ones that are often putting in all the local infrastructure. But it's something that the state government and the federal government should be doing as well. So this federal government needs to be looking as part of its procurement policy to not just procure from Australian manufacturers, but to build in requirements for recycling and recyclable materials. And that will help this circular economy to grow. And as I said, we are very proud to have REPLAS in the Carrum Downs industrial estate, and this is the sort of smart, sustainable manufacturing that we are keen in my electorate of Dunkley to build. And all we need is a government that's also committed to doing that. Other countries have been tackling recycling and the circular economy for quite some time. I mean, of course, in Australia, it was the previous Labor government that introduced the first version of the legislation that we're debating today. But sadly, we've seen 7 years of neglect in this area. And I hear one of the members on the other side laughing, a bit like when I laughed when he said that climate change should be a matter of science, not politics, because it was one of the most astounding things for someone on that side of the chamber to say, welcome to the debate, but honestly, with a straight face. It's unbelievable. So other countries haven't been wasting time like this government has. From Japan to Finland to the Netherlands, these countries have understood that recycling is one element of the bigger shift that we need in our economy and our society. We need to move towards a clean and circular economy. We need to do that for the economics of it, for the jobs of it, and for the future of our environment. But apart from when the Prime Minister wants to make announcements that make it seem as though they're doing something for the environment, we don't hear sustained debate and conversation from the other side of the chamber about the fundamental need for this shift in our economy and our society. This government has wasted 7 years and hasn't forged a new clean and circular economy. It's one of the great wastes of our time, as well as the tearing down of climate change policy and the lack of a coherent and positive vision for the future. I mean, they've been left behind by everyone, every state in this country. The business councils, the unions, industry, countries around the world are all committed and signed up to net zero emissions by 2050, but not this government. I'm newly appointed to the House of Representatives Economics Committee, and I attended my first hearing on Friday. And our financial regulators understand the importance of dealing with climate change and climate change risk being taken into account in investments. Our key economic regulators get it, and this government needs to get it and to do more. We haven't seen anything that would give us confidence that this government is going to move forward in a way that builds our economy and recovers from the recession and protects the environment. We hear the suggestion that it's one or the other, and we've heard that now for so long, but it's just wrong. We do not have to choose between economic growth and sustainable development, between jobs and the environment. They go hand in hand. So there's an opportunity for us as well as a moral imperative. The challenge to lead our country and to once again be seen as a leader on the world stage through climate change to mitigate its effects is also an opportunity to build a clean, circular economy, to build a vibrant economy with new jobs at the same time. And we can do it. Every single one of those school students who talk to every single one of their members of parliament about getting rid of single-use plastics, about recycling, they believe we can do it, they want to do it, and they want us to do it for them. So it's beyond time that this government stops tinkering at the edges, getting expert reports and plucking out one recommendation but ignoring others and pretending it's doing something, re-announcing money to be spent on important projects but yet not delivering, and just rolled up its sleeves and did the young people of our country the credit of listening to them and delivering for them, because if we do that, they are going to deliver in the future for us.